The biggest thing I noticed just going to Laos that was very apparent was the modesty. They're more conservative people than in Thailand. They were just modest and clean. They just seemed more honorable, I guess, in that way. But the women all wore skirts that went past their knees and down to just past their shins and stuff. That was pretty outstanding to me when I first got there compared to Thailand, after seeing a lot of the billboards or posters, women with a lot shorter, more revealing clothing. In Laos, it was just very modest. They were very kind and hospitable. Anytime you went to a place, you took off your shoes before you would go in, and they would always offer water. That was always the first thing. They would always make sure you had water. It's a hot country, hot and humid, so always offer water, and if not water, another fluid, usually like a Coke or Pepsi or something like that, a cold drink. The women, we would go to the market and we would forget our bag of fruit, and we would take off with the rest of our bags, and we'd realize, and we'd come back, and the lady would have held the bag of apples, for instance, or I guess we don't have many apples, but there's a fruit, and she would have been holding there for us until we came back, and then she would give it to us. So we didn't, lose stuff. There wasn't stealing or things like that. So they were honest people. They're very kind, especially to foreigners, I think. So very respectful, also in the regard that they would you. They have a Father's Day and a Mother's Day, kind of like we do. They also have a Children's Day. But on Father's Day and Mother's Day, there's more of a feeling of respect. I think it might be part of their Buddhist culture, but also they would you and show respect, loyalty to their mother and father. So there's a really cool beauty to that culture, and just that there is honor and respect that prevails between families, and to older people especially. The older they were, the lower you would bow, or the higher you would put up your hands, which showed more respect. So they do that, and they teach their kids even when they're very young. So after living in Thailand for a while, about a year, close to a year, and then going to Laos, there was a big difference. Thailand, to give you an idea, it's more westernized, I guess you can say. There's a lot more commercial marketing and that sort of living, businesses and stuff like that. With that, there was advertising. There's some of the same things that you see in our world here in America, just maybe sometimes morality that can go down and stuff. People show free, there's free reign in speech and opinions and stuff like that. Going to Laos was really awesome. I will say the greatest thing I loved was the modesty. It was a huge difference, and it was awesome. All the women would wear skirts in Laos, these sort of Laotian skirts. It was a really cool fabric, and they would wear it. It was always just past their knees, maybe about halfway down their shins sometimes. So it was really modest, and it was a huge difference. There's the dry season, wet season, and then the cold season. It doesn't really get that cold. It gets really hot after the cold season, mostly March, April. April's the hottest month. And then May, then June and July, August are kind of the wet months from what I could tell. It would start to rain a lot, and a ton, and more, and then more and more. So it flooded a few times in the streets where we'd walk through floods with our shoes. So I would totally recommend getting 2 pairs of shoes, the same by the way, and then switching them out every day. They'll last so much longer, and they go through a lot. In Laos, in Vientiane, the capital of the city, there's more government buildings and stuff like that. Vientiane is a communist country still. Thailand's not. It's a lot more westernized. And so in Laos, it's a lot cleaner. In Vientiane, it's a lot cleaner roads, and there's more cars. Whereas in Thailand, especially in Bangkok, you'll see buses, taxis, a lot. In Vientiane, there's big trucks. I noticed that there's a lot of big trucks and nicer cars that you would see where you wouldn't see them in Thailand. This is all in Vientiane. And with all these big government buildings and the cleanliness, and you see a lot of modesty, then you just go outside a little bit from the main part of the city, and it turns very quickly into dirt roads. Red dirt roads, very poor, more poor than you see in Thailand. Poverty, more people who do little businesses and small vendors and stuff like that. Some people live their whole lives just peeling apart in peppers into little pans. You'll see them. They do that day after day until they're 80. Like, sometimes it's kind of sad, but like I said, they're very kind people. In Laos, for example, we went to the early morning market on Saturday to get some vegetables and food for the week. We left behind a bag of fruit after we paid for it and everything. With all the other bags we picked up, we took off, and we realized we forgot our fruit. We came back, and the lady had held on to this bag of fruit for us until we came back. Then she gave it to us. So they're very kind in that way, very honest people and things like that. The lowest bill or currency we would have was 1,000 gib. So sometimes it was easier just to refer to it as 1 gib, but it's technically 1,000 gib. But they were a little bit more expensive in Laos, so it would cost us about 10,000, 12, 14,000 gib. So sometimes almost double, maybe like $1.50 or $2 for a plate of food in Laos compared to Thailand. It was a lot more expensive in Laos. In eastern Thailand, which is right next to Laos, they have a dialect they call Isan, which is it's closer to Laotian. And Laotian, their language is similar to Thai. I don't know Spanish or Portuguese, but I would guess that maybe it's you can compare it that way. It's like Thai to Laotian is Spanish to Portuguese. The difference between Laotian and Thai is some of the consonants change sound. So like raw, the r sound in Thai changes to more of an H sound. Huh. So like rao, which is we, changes to how, and then tones. So in Laos, tones change, whereas in Thai, the word we, rao, is more of a flat tone. In Laos, it's more of a rising tone. How? ผมรู้ว่าศาสนาจักรของพระเยซูคริสต์เป็นศาสนาจักรแห่งเดียวบนโลกนี้ ผมรู้ว่ามันทางเดียวเป็นวิธีที่เราสามารถมีความรอดที่เราสามารถเปลี่ยนแปลงที่จะกลายเป็นเหมือนพระองค์มากยิ่งขึ้น ผมรู้ว่าโดยผ่านพระกิตติคุณของพระเยซูคริสต์เราจะเจอความจริงเราจะมีความสุขนะครับมีความปิติยินดีนะครับก็คอยรู้ว่าศาสนาจักรนี้ก็เป็นศาสนาจักรของพระองค์แม้ว่าพวกเขาสิพบยังพระองค์พระเยซูคริสต์สิทรงช่วยพวกเขาสิทรงช่วยพวกเขาที่สิเป็นเหมือนพระองค์คอยรู้ว่าโดยผ่านการอธิษฐานโดยการอ่านพระคัมภีร์ของพระองค์พวกเขาสิได้รับคำตอบในการติดต่อกับพระองค์และคอยกล่าวทำของเรานี้ในพระนามของพระเยซูคริสต์อาเมน